section. Welcome to our April webinar series, which is Top Technology Trends in Fuel Delivery. Before I introduce our presenter this morning, I would like to, for those who the first time being on this, just kind of give you an outline. You will be muted throughout the presentation, but you can ask questions via the chat or question feature. Saul will go through his presentation, and at the end of the presentation, we will go through those questions. If for some reason the question can't be answered today, I will make sure we connect you with Saul and Cargus after the fact to give you some clarification. With that being said, I'll introduce Saul at this point. Saul Cohen is a product specialist with Cargus Systems. They have been a PPA member for years and work with a lot of different marketers, members throughout the state. So with that being said, I will introduce Saul at this point, and Saul, I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Ted. We appreciate it, and thanks for the opportunity to present today to everybody. Good morning, welcome. As Ted said, Cargus Systems is a software company based in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We've been in business almost 30 years now. We do a lot of different software for accounting, finance, but we got into the fuel industry in 2005 and started working with a lot of local companies that you probably are aware of: Wilson Oil and Propane outside of Philadelphia, Worley and Obits and Amerigreen in the Lancaster area, and Rhodes Energy are some of our Pennsylvania customers as well. So we are based here, founded here, and just want to give a shout out to Villanova winning the national championship last night. That was pretty cool. All right, so we'll get moving here, and our topic today is tech trends. So hopefully we'll get through a pretty concise presentation today. We'll try to keep it to about 30 minutes and leave some time for questions, and feel free to pop them on the web, and we'll get answers to them at the end. So again, I've been with Cargus about 13 years, have some background in the fuel industry, worked for a large national fleet fueling company. We had about 200 trucks, 50 locations nationwide. Also done quite a bit in the mobile and wireless web technology. Here at Cargus, I work with our product development and our sales team, and do demos of our software applications for customers and prospects throughout the country. We have about 150 customers nationwide now, from the Northeast, New England, through the Southeast, Texas, California, Hawaii, and Alaska as well. So today we're really going to just focus on some of the more recent tech trends that we've seen. We published an article this past year talking about that. And it really doesn't matter whether your company's big or small, one location mom and pop, or a bigger, multi-location or multi-state operation. These things are really relative to you. So we wanted to cue up David Bowie's Changes song here, but we kind of wanted to echo that the times are changing with respect to that. So we recognize that a lot of the companies that that are on the phone and the fuel industry here don't necessarily think of technology or maybe have in-house expertise in the ways that maybe some other industries do. But what we wanted to emphasize here is that it really can no longer be something that you think about sporadically. It's something that's really at the core of the business at anything you do nowadays. The newer generation millennials, they're more apt to look at a phone and search and try to find your company if they move into a house that's got oil or propane heat, and try to find you. So if you're not thinking about this all the time, it's not at the core of what you're doing, you're probably going to be missing out. And you don't necessarily have to have the in-house expertise. There's lots of resources out there that can really take advantage, that you can take advantage of using these types of technologies. But again, it's something that has to really be at the forefront of what you're thinking about day in, day out. All right, so here's our 6 trends that we're going to talk about today. everybody's hears about the cloud, watching some of the basketballs. I was talking to hear all the things about the Google Cloud and Amazon and things like that. So we'll definitely touch on that. Customer-facing applications, those would be typically your customer web portals from various companies out there. They could be, ways that you can have your customers log in, pay bills, request deliveries, see their transactions, update phone numbers, address information, things like that. And then tank monitoring is a big thing that we've seen quite a bit be pervasive over the last number of years. So the whole Internet of Things, whether it be the tank monitors that link and capture that information, or some of the things like Nests and those devices that are in the household. Then number 4 here, we have CRM and marketing automation. One of the other things we do here at Cargo Systems is we are a Microsoft CRM. CRM is customer relationship management, for those who don't know that. If there's any questions on acronyms, we'll make sure we're clear on that. But we have been a CRM partner for quite a number of years. We're probably actually we were the first certified Microsoft CRM partner in the United States way back in the day. We also do work with Salesforce products, and what we've done with those, and we have about 8 customers that are using CRM linked with the Cargus Energy software product. So we'll get into some more details about that down the road here. Number 5 is modern mobile. With the evolution of Apple and iOS and iPhone and iPads and Android devices. When we first developed our mobile application back in the day, back in 2005, those things didn't exist. So reinventing mobile applications for your drivers and service techs with a modern UI, user interface, and things like that is definitely advantageous, and then take advantage of the cheaper devices that are out there. And then last but not least is business intelligence. Intelligence is really making good decisions with accurate information. It's important to capture all this data in your back office systems and all the technologies that you use, but then if you don't use it to make good decisions in a timely manner, then it's really all for naught. All right, so we'll get in and we'll start with the cloud. So really what the cloud is internet servers that allow you to access information. So I'm sure the majority of the companies on the line here are using online banking or connecting to their banks in some way, shape, or form. So it's very similar to that, where you have a secure ID and password, and the protocol is called HTTPS. So it's called SSL. It's a secure socket layer. It's what encrypts the traffic out there to make sure it's not seen by any prying eyes. But a true cloud is really web-based, easy to use, and very powerful. Here at Cargus, we have a number of cloud partners. We don't host it ourselves. You see, the Amazons of the world with their AWS, their web services, has really taken over. And here, even at Cargus, we have moved the majority of our solutions to the cloud, from Intact, which is the accounting solution that we also resell, to our support tool from a company called Zendesk, to Google Drive and Office 365 and CRM and things. So we as a technology company, we've moved away from in-house servers predominantly, and the majority of our customers are going that way too. We have about 40% of our customers that have moved towards cloud servers, and the recent trend is much higher than that. So why is everyone starting to use the cloud? And why is it changing our expectations? Really, it's we were just at another prospect up in Northeast Pennsylvania, more of the shale country, and we understand that access and having, fast, high-speed internet isn't as pervasive, especially in some of the rural areas of the country. But, as a former IT guy and a reformed IT guy, I like to say, I'm at the point now where I really would not recommend buying any server hardware ever again. There's really no need for it. And the beauty of it is this 24/7 access. It doesn't require a VPN or a virtual private network. It doesn't require a remote desktop. So you need to initiate some kind of connection to get to the server. You don't need to use remote control software, things like that, if you're on the road, as Ted is today, or as most of us, as we're, doing our business throughout, the state or the country. So you really can access the application from any device on any browser 24/7. And most of your customers, are looking for that need as well. So the concern about having, internet connectivity, we use like the mobile hotspots from Verizon and AT&T. So they were doing work outside our building here in Lancaster, and our internet connection was going down quite often. So we just set up a hotspot and we get connected. So it's really not as much of an issue as most people think. So the other things that most of the clouds do is does all the backups. It's much more safe and secure. You're actually more at risk of power outage or flood or things like that in your facility than any of these cloud servers and the sites where these are hosted or replicated throughout the country. So you really have this ubiquitous access. The other aspect of it now is the integration component. So, if you think of your social media apps, or like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, they all kind of talk to each other. Well, we've done similar things as well, like I was talking about with CRM. So we have CRM integrated with our Argus Energy back office. We also do integration with the Intact accounting software. So you can really find a little bit best of breed applications that do the things specifically that you want them to do, and then have them talk to each other very easily. And most of them are through what is called like web services or APIs or application programming interfaces. So a lot of those tools are available now to make this integration work pretty seamlessly. Again, I kind of talked about some of this stuff already, what this offers your companies, the instant access, the flexibility to be able to work from home on the road, the real-time access to the information. So with our mobile devices being able to capture deliveries and tickets, and if customers go on hold or if you have price changes, all that can be delivered to mobile devices. If you're in an area that has big will call volume and customer needs a delivery today, having that capability to find your nearest driver, not only who's there right at this moment, but maybe down the road, because the route has already been built, in the back office, and be able to send that out to them real time and, collect delivery fees and maybe, make that delivery, whereas they might have gone to a different customer. That is really advantageous in this day and age. Really highlighted the integration already, and the big thing, a lot of people think that the cost of this cloud servers is more expensive in the long term because you're spending a monthly amount that includes hosting fees and things like that. But we've done some of the analysis. If you purchase an in-house server and the maintenance and the upkeep over a 3 to 5 year time frame, the cost is really negligible. It's pretty equal. You don't have to buy, server licenses or things like that. So the costs and the security, as I indicated, is really better than you've seen in the past.
All right, I went off speakerphone, so wanted to make sure everybody can hear me okay. All right, so next one here will be the customer-facing applications, and this, as we were saying, is what we call the customer web portal. So we're used to, in this day and age, to be able to access, websites and different applications via our phone or any device. So whether you're booking, flights, or on e-commerce sites like Amazon, whether you're using review sites like Yelp, or other applications like that, and TripAdvisor, Angie's List. Those are the things that consumers basically want today. So whether it be at night, when somebody finally has time to be able to look at this and they want to pay a bill, you need that access for your business pretty much in this day and age. You might get to the point where, like I was saying, the newer generation, you may never physically talk or visit, a store or customer location. Customers might not do that, with your business directly in this day and age. Most want to be able to conduct business on their own terms, when they want to be able to do that. So having a web portal is definitely, what we like to say, it's a disadvantage, if you don't have one. The majority of our customers have web portals. I think it's over 65%, and might be climbing up towards 70%. So, regardless of which kind of back office application that you might be using, we highly recommend. There's a number of partners out there that do that. So I would highly recommend it. And basically what happens is your customers will get a login on your website. They'll be able to create a user ID and password, link it with your customer account, and then be able to offer them to pay their bills, see their delivery history, capture all this information. One of the analogies I like to make in this case, and it's pretty much, you don't even think of doing it in any way, shape, or form differently than we do now, is so if you order something from Amazon or anywhere else and you track a package online via FedEx or UPS, it's all, via the links, via the order. When I was at U.S. Fleet, we actually used to deliver to FedEx, and I got an opportunity to go visit their technology center. And so this was in the early 2000s as the web, was being developed, and the technology that we are commonplace using today. But FedEx did a study back then. I'm sure the numbers are a little bit different now. But most people would call and track a package, that way. So the study FedEx did was every time the user tracked the package via the web, it saved them $8. Again, those economies of scale and those numbers have probably changed quite a bit now. But you get the sense of what that means, and having your customers be able to access that information when they need it, like I said, off hours and things like that, that's pretty advantageous. So definitely complements with what you're doing, in-house. So, what we like to say here too is not to go overboard with it. You want to blend the best of what traditional customer services with the technology. You don't want just a automated phone response. If people call you, they want to be able to talk to somebody in person if need be. But having a good blend of the technology and the customer interaction is definitely paramount. All right, tank monitoring. So the next one here, you're seeing it a little bit more in the propane industry than typically we've seen in some of the fuel, oil and distillates and gasoline markets, but it's definitely becoming something that is more common, cheaper. In some cases, the hardware has become commoditized. There's a number of different vendors. They work on different platforms and different technologies, but it's getting cheaper and better all the time. So what we like to say here is really no one wants a guessing game. There are certain scenarios you're still going to have some automatic, heat, hot water customers that are going to have, pretty good numbers from a degree day and K factor and base load forecasting. From that standpoint, you might have a select group of customers that are always going to be will call, but if you have any that are scheduled or you go X number of days between or Julian, using tank monitoring for those customers is a great way to be able to accurately predict and actually see, what their tank volume is. So, what we like to point out here is what the consumers want. Most want what most customers prefer to have their tank filled when they need it without having to think or having to order fuel, and they really don't want any runouts. And as you as a retail marketer, you want to do it better than your competition. You want the most efficient delivery possible. Every mile that you drive, any kind of fuel truck is typically, depending on your area and wages and things like that, can be about $4 a mile. So, the fuller deliveries, the less miles that you can drive, and whatnot goes really back to your bottom line. And then for those ones that you don't have these accurate numbers, you want these accurate numbers instead of these guesstimates. So, knowing what your customers have in the tank in real time. We have integrations with the tank monitors into our back office software. They provide websites. Again, that's another area where those APIs and those things tie together. So you can see that data. It's not separate. You can go into our application and pull customers, show me all the ones with between 0 and 30%. What's their average daily usage, generate the tickets, and then be able to route them and go make those deliveries. So yeah, we really think the tank monitors have come down in terms of prices. We have one of our customers down in Virginia that has a little over 4,000 tank monitors out of about 20,000 of their customers. That's a propane only customer. But you can start small. Most are experimenting with some level of these tank monitors, maybe trying out a few of them to see which ones work. But definitely would encourage you to look at that if you haven't looked at it in the past. And this kind of parlays into some of the Google Home and the Alexa and Amazon and those and the Nest technology with the Internet of Things, basically allowing these devices to talk, to your back office software, and in some cases directly to the consumer, so they can see and monitor that type of information. Cool. So really kind of highlighted this already about taking advantage of this at this point. And we expect it to really become the industry standard for, this type of operations, especially maybe some remote locations where you might only go to, a handful of times a year. All right, moving on to CRM and marketing. So again, CRM is customer relationship management. And marketing automation. A lot of what we've talked about in web and other things we talked about, like, search engine optimization, SEO, and things like that in the past. But, it's really all about new customer acquisition and retention is what we call the name of the game. And successful companies are really getting proactive about it. So most of the back office softwares, and ours included, really does not have a sales or marketing component. There are dedicated solutions like the Microsoft CRM product, like Salesforce, and there's some other, ones out there as well that provide this customer relationship management and the marketing automation tools. So here at Cargus, we're about 100 employees. Just to talk about the marketing effort, when I started almost 13 years ago, we had one person doing marketing, at a basic level. Now we have 6 people that are dedicated to our marketing function, with content on the website, doing email marketing out to prospects using various lists. So what it really does is helps you manage the sales, marketing, and customer service process. And so where our fuel customers are taking advantage of that, some are using the CRM as the front end with CSRs to take calls, and it doesn't matter whether it's an existing customer or a prospect, they can actually do it in there. And then the information will flow back and forth to the back office. So, your techs out in the field, your delivery drivers, we're all salespeople, your CSRs, and you can certainly do things to incentivize them to cross-sell, upsell. If a customer, you're able to see quickly that a customer doesn't have a service contract, and they're getting service work done, are you able to offer them a service contract, note that you offered them a service contract, and hopefully they accept that. If you can get those automatic budget, service contract customers, those are typically the ones that we like in the industry. So, what can you do? What are the competitive advantages here? So you can really target your marketing, to tailor messages to specific groups. Some of the other energy associations we've seen as we go out west is, about growing different gallons in different markets, whether it be through, hot water heating and things of that nature. So, you can get lists, you can see all that data to be able to say, hey, if these customers are not using, oil or propane to heat their hot water, we can identify those and target those specifically, have a campaign to be able to get them, as customers in that way. So again, everyone is selling, incentivize your staff to be able to do that. And so that you have access to that information. Delivery drivers, when they make a delivery, if they see an issue, they can add a note, and that will come to the back office. Service techs can do that as well. So now they have the same capability that your CSRs have. And then the bottom line really becomes your customers aren't hearing different things maybe from different people. So they might hear one thing from a driver, one thing from a tech, one thing from a CSR. Now you have a standard set of information. You can create those work orders or things, and they can escalate and make sure that you take care of customer situations, so before they get out of hand. All right, modern mobile. So again, as I highlighted in the beginning, when Cargus was building our Cargus Energy product back in 2005, the iPhone didn't exist, Android devices did not exist. So we built our mobile application on Windows. It was in Windows XP at the time. It was Windows 7, 8 and 10 as we've migrated, and that was certainly a good decision. And we went from expensive, Panasonic Toughbooks that the police, fire, and rescue and military use to now what you're seeing is the capability of doing these on, very inexpensive, modern tablet devices that literally, if you work with Verizon or AT&T, you can go to your Verizon rep and get a shared data plan for all your devices and pay basically almost pay nothing, maybe $50 to $100 per device, and be able to outfit your staff. And so, what this really means if you're not using mobile technology now is really to be able to eliminate the manual delivery process. Tickets are created electronically, you get them routed, they get dispatched wirelessly. Drivers can put blank tickets in the printer, use thermal printers to print that. As I was talking before, if you have the will call business, to be able to go out and make those deliveries in real time. More often than not, you see fluctuating prices, even midday price changes. If you want to be able to take advantage of those can be set in your back office and dispatched out to drivers in real time. So, the old mobile solutions were great. Now in this day and age, drivers and techs, they're typically going to be younger. Everybody's using some kind of smart type of cell phone in this day and age. So we're just trying to, highlight the point that you don't need any mobile solution. What you really need is more of a modern one. Training and getting these guys up to speed on these applications is very simple. We have videos, we have training that allows them to literally get up and running on the application in about an hour. All of them are built with wireless technology. They work offline as well as they work online. It will give them driving directions and things like that. So you really have that real-time flow. We've also always had the policy of any driver could use any device in any truck. Nothing's hard-coded. If a driver is sick for the day or a truck breaks down, you can recall tickets and then sync them back up with another driver. You won't lose any tickets anymore. You don't need to plug in your device anymore. All the data comes back in real time. You have copies of the tickets. You can capture signature. So you really have that real-time information flow. So again, the advantages of this real time is you're more flexible and more nimble. You can have better decisions, better insight. Capturing this out in the field is pretty much, standard for today's business. So now that we're capturing all this good data in our back office system, what we really need to be able to do is, make good, accurate decisions. So business intelligence or dashboards or KPIs or key performance indicators, those are things that now I'm guessing that most of the people on the webinar today are owners or operations or management. So now that you're using this technology, you want to make good, accurate decisions based upon that. Some of the old operational systems there might not have the capability of capturing all this information, so that's something you certainly need to think about before you go to, BI type of technology. But it's real important that you capture this information and have availability to it, and that it's accurate by the time it gets to you. So what do these things do? They basically really automate the process of collecting this. They do it in real time, all right, and they do it automatically. So, when we go and visit people, we ask all the time, how many types of customers, what's your margins, what's the breakdown of your customer data. And more often than not, people don't have those answers to us at their ready. They might have to create a report, or they might have to dig in and get it. You really should have access to that information at any point in time. And Cargus ourselves, we really do that. So we use a lot of these analytics. We use the Intact tool. We have real-time updates. You can do month-to-date updates into your accounting software as well. That allows you to see that, so you can see whether you're meeting your budget or your goals for the month. Are you ahead? Are you behind? Are you on target with that? So you can really now see that in real time. You don't have to wait to the end of the month. You're able to really access that information at any time. And so that can help you with making the strategic decisions. So, whether it be fuel contracts that you have with your vendors and customer price contracts as well, so some other things on the BI, some disclaimers here. It should be on the cloud. It should be always available, real time, automated options for the reports and dashboards. You shouldn't have segmented databases. All your data should be in one. It doesn't matter if you operate different divisions and things like that. So you can kind of consolidate all that reporting. So. And as I was saying before, the bottom line, the business intelligence software could require updating your back office software. All right, so we'll try to wrap up here now and finalize this. So the leave behind, so for the people on the phone today and on the webinar, what should you do? Is the question we always like to ask. And the saying is Rome wasn't built in a day, so you don't have to jump full, both feet in, from the get-go. But you should definitely at least think about it, and what we would like to say is map out an internal technology roadmap. Maybe you need to upgrade the back office. Maybe you do have a modern back office, but maybe you need to go mobile. See what your business objectives are. These things have a cost, but they always should have a payback as well. You should never do anything just for the sake of doing it. You should have these objectives and the results that you hope to achieve, and then really focus on what's the business value. The beauty of what Amazon did forever ago, it wasn't, creating a bookstore. It was the technology that they built. And that's the reason they're the biggest and most successful company, on the web, from that standpoint. So, it is really paramount to the fuel delivery business in today's day and age. So we definitely, recommend that you start thinking about it and talking about and trying to identify, these key objectives. And so lastly, from a takeaway, these trends won't be trends for long. They'll become the new standard. We like to say a lot of fuel industry companies are a few years behind on the technology standpoint, and trying to get up to speed with it. So So we ask, will you embrace it or will you run from it? And the ones that run from it, might be the ones that are getting to be bought and sold in the industry. All right, so that is the content for the presentation. And if you guys haven't posted any questions, we can certainly take some now, and be glad to, if we can answer them today, great. If not, we can certainly take them offline and have a recording of this presentation, as well as address any of them offline as well.
Excellent, Saul. Thank you very much. Well done. We do have a couple questions, and I'm just going to kind of jump into them now. If you have, if you did not ask a question but have one based on what Saul presented, please feel free to type that into the chat or question section on GoToWebinar. So the first one, I think this kind of ties into some of the different trends you're talking about. I think it's more of a general marketing question, but do you recommend an app that will consistently maintain, that you have to consistently maintain, or just a mobile-friendly website?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most of the websites nowadays are mobile-friendly, and a couple of our customer service portal clients take a different approach to it. If you build it on a modern technology, it's going to be mobile friendly. And keep in mind, all an app is that you download from the iTunes store or Android store is really a subset of what your website can do. There are some pros and cons to it. In this case, I would more recommend having a mobile friendly website portal that customers can use regardless of whether it's an app. You don't have to worry about the platform. You don't have to worry about publishing and making it available on the iOS platform, which has its own challenges and things like that. So that would be the path I would recommend.
Excellent. And if you don't mind, Saul, not to take away from anything you just said, I completely agree with you. But for whoever did ask that question, you can work with your web developer to essentially show certain features or a limited set of features on a mobile-friendly website that wouldn't be normally shown on your full desktop website.
Yeah. So I was just going to say most of the web stuff knows what devices they're coming from. It knows to format the screen accordingly. We're used to scrolling up now on our phone, so yeah, absolutely, that can be geared in a good way.
Very good. Next question. Out of the 6 trends you reviewed, what would you recommend adopting first or right now today?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. We started with the cloud, so I'm probably going to lean there. And then, like I said, it can come in a bunch of different ways, whether you're just using it from an Office 365 for email or documents and things like that, to your whole back office software. Your websites, you don't host your websites internally, so really think about it that way. That really starts at the core of what you're doing from this standpoint. The mobile technology as well, it would probably be a 1A for me. If you're not doing mobile delivery now, I think you're a little bit behind the times.
Very good. This is a general question. I don't know if you need to go into all 6 trends, but can you give, and I think you did this throughout the presentation to some degree, but can you give some specific examples how, I guess, really Cargus clients are utilizing some of the 6 trends you're talking about in a day-to-day business operation sense?
Sure. Yeah. So as we said, we built our application for the energy industry in 2005. We made it as a web browser-based application, so it doesn't require anything to be installed locally, for any of the users. As I gave the online banking example, you just go to a website, it's secure, it's password protected, it's encrypted, So you go and log in, put your user ID and password, and you can access all that information. You have that same user interface. You have that same experience regardless of what device you're using. So as I said, it's about 40% of our customers are using it from a cloud standpoint, and it really doesn't matter whether it's in-house or it's a cloud. You'll still have the same experience. So that's the first thing. So you're used to using these modern types of apps, whether it be the online banking or ordering something from Amazon or social media. And so we try to echo those same sentiments and be able to use that application. We try to minimize the amount of paper that's generated. We try to share that information so that your drivers, your techs, your CSRs, you can see the status of a delivery ticket, from it being created to routed to dispatch to a driver being on site to even being in progress and fueling. We had one of our customers back in, some of the heavy snows up in the New England area, and the customer, had a long driveway with a lot of snow, and their driveway wasn't, plowed and accessible, and she was an older lady, kept on calling and was talking to one of the business owners of the company, and she kept on asking what the status of her delivery is. And, owner was able to pull up the customer account and see and look at the ticket, and it actually said in progress. So you can see it was being fueled. So, she's able to answer that question to, the customer and say, ma'am, the driver's there right now. He's fueling as we speak. So if you're not using the technologies that we've talked about, like, if I had to, see what driver had that ticket, I would have to figure out who's got it first. I'd have to try to call them. I'd have to maybe hopefully get them on the phone or the two-way radio. So the other aspect of what we highlighted is it eliminates a lot of that recurring, phone traffic, whether it be to your customers and also to your employees. So that's kind of some of the examples that I would use to say how that technology helps. We could go into a whole lot more, but we probably don't have that much time today.
Very good. Last question, unless we get another one that comes in. How do generations come into play in regards to upgrading and embracing these new technologies, specifically in a family-owned business?
Yeah, it's another great question. So, as we travel, throughout the state and the country, we see a lot of the next generations of the family businesses taking over, and there might be more of the younger, 20, 30 somethings now, taking over for their, parents or grandparents and things of that nature. And obviously, they're a little bit more in tune with adopting the technology. But you'd be surprised. We've even trained, an elderly, grandfather that, he did all the routing and he wanted to do the routing. So, so he embraced that and did that. It's, for these businesses, for your businesses to survive and thrive, we really embrace it. It's really paramount to do this, and it doesn't have to be our technology. Obviously, we're in the industry, we want our customers to be successful, but adopting these principles, I think, will help, and finding the right solution for you guys. We have some small mom and pop shops that have a couple trucks and a couple people in the office to large operations as well. So really, it doesn't matter as long as you embrace it and identify the things that are important to you. I think adopting the technology will come into play. You've heard a lot of horror stories in the years past with different technologies and things don't work. I think most of that's been kind of weeded out from the industry, and regardless of the solutions you pick, I think most of these operations can be successful moving towards it.
Very good. Saul, thank you very much. If anyone would like to get in touch with Saul and you don't have his contact information, feel free to reach out to me and I will connect you. But other than that, Saul, thank you again for doing this morning. And just a heads up for anyone else that's on this webinar, our next webinar will take place the first Tuesday in May, which is May 1st at 9 a.m. So Saul, thank you again, and we will wrap up at this point.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate everybody being on.
Yep, you got it. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, take care.